foundation and you submit, you find that this is a fit. And as we all know, as fundraisers, grant writers, that there are some no's with the yeses, right? But again, I go to timing and I go to consistency and just being what is it, where opportunity meets preparedness for when the stars do align, because they do and they will. And so some of the more common, and I'm speaking to a well-versed group, but some of the reasons that we receive in these rejection letters are that it's limited funds, which is completely understandable, which as a fundraiser, to me, what that says is like, okay, when's your next cycle and how far along do I need to get, to be in front of your organization. Also, we find that it may not fit their current priorities. Now this may be hard because it's like we did all our due diligence, we did our homework, but we based it also on historic data, realizing that maybe they just came out of a strategic planning process and they decided to do something new, which can be both the positive and negative attribute of philanthropy, particularly personal philanthropy, is that it can be a passion today and perhaps a new passion comes in the future and they decide to change. But all in all, I would say, and what I have seen in my work and what I have seen in research, that funders continue along the same direction. There may be one or two new initiatives, but for the long haul, they stay focused on their giving priorities. The third one, the common pitfall to avoid, or what we see in rejection letters, and it goes back to what Melody said, proofread, proofread, proofread. And just taking the time to review what you submit, perhaps even getting other people that are truly objective readers, like your significant other or a friend who can just say, like, what does this mean? I'll give you one example. So I used to work at a family foundation and served as their program officer, and I would receive all of the mail and open it up, and it was this one application. It looked great. I got into the cover letter. The cover letter was basically summarizing what the application packet that had, and as soon as I turned to the second page for the application itself, it said the Topfer Family Foundation. I was a program officer for KDK Harmon Foundation. Another family foundation, we both did work in child welfare. It just so happened that we received their application, their cut and paste on our application template. So that does happen, and again, I remember looking at it and I was like, oh my gosh, as a professional, being like, I did not want to go to my executive director to let her know, in large part because I was like, I really like this organization, but that was a lesson learned. Also recently, I heard from a family foundation that they had an online process, and this more so is on the reporting component, not necessarily the application, but where organizations were missing their reporting deadlines. And they were never communicated by their grantee partner, what was happening, and I have to attest that does happen. And so, that said, I share with you all, because in large part that does fall back on your plate as grant writers and the reporting component. If there are problems along the way with a particular grant, keeping the communication line open is your safety. Is your safety line. Letting funders know whether or not they have an interim check-in process, perhaps instigating that to say, we're not hitting our program numbers. This is why. These are some of the ideas that we have in place. We wanted to keep you in mind. There is a funder, actually, of one of my clients that I work with here, that we actually will get on the phone with the grantee and begin to brainstorm ways that we can support. And 100% of the time, if in addition to sharing our ideas, whether they decide to go forward with them or not, we slide the time for the reporting component. And then we also bring into the reporting to the actual board who makes those decisions the context of the changes that occurred but that were not expected. And so I again, that proofread, but also the follow-up and the importance of that open line communication, because no one entity is perfect. Things are constantly changing, both internally and externally within the environments that we work in.
The copy paste mishap, how was that received by the CEO? What was the impact on the review of the application, I guess?
So the CEO of the funder, or the CEO of the nonprofit?
The funding organization.
It was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a missed opportunity. And for the nonprofit organization, it was, she was embarrassed. She was like, I'm sorry, and we were like, we understand, it's demanding and whatnot, but this is something that we also have to share with our board. And that organization is indicative of other things that are going on within the organization and the team. So yeah, a good follow-up question. Common pitfalls to avoid. Let me just kind of get them all up. So when you are given the opportunity, and more so, just enable the opportunity, because you're not necessarily given you are articulating and advocating for, you are helping be that communication of the organization and program that you are you're supporting. Really think about, when we were talking about words, and articulating what that intended impact is. In large part, the technical terms, the buzzwords that we hear, we all get lost, and it may mean something, collective impact may mean something different from you to the next person to the next person. And so just trying to use as clear language as possible, and also realizing, well, who's your audience? Is your audience well-versed, and was this their field of study, that they do need that more technical component? Or is this a funded entity that they're all volunteers, they all have other field focuses, that they just need to know the story? And that's all they're really looking for. They're looking for more of a compelling story versus something that's more technical. Also really emphasizing what is the impact, what is the value add of their resource to your vision of the organization, and how that ties in. Another common pitfall is weak evidence of the program impact. That what is this project based upon? New ideas are hard to come from. That's not to say that your proposal may not be a new idea or a new initiative, but how did you come to that? Is this based on research, on evidence that you have seen, and analyzing your own data, which is just as strong, and needs to be shared with prospect stakeholders? Also, have you done your own landscape review? Are you again, think of from the perspective of funders, they're hearing and if they have a specific giving priority, they're probably hearing from other community partners what's going on. So ensuring like how does your organization stand out? What is the benefit? What is the value add, the propositional difference between your organization and others? And so, many times as a program officer for this Family Foundation, when I would review applications, I was realizing that some organizations didn't realize that there were other nonprofits that were doing similar work. And so what we made as a philosophical, I guess, difference in our work was helping connect organizations and people. Also, some common pitfalls is, you had, and this was something that was shared about the communications and being a translator or a connector to perhaps other professionals within your organization. Really getting a team around, what are we applying for? What does this mean logistically? What are the budgets that is necessary for it versus it all falling on your lap and having to figure out. And so really having that team approach, whether it be with your executive director and maybe some program staff, so that you are not only able to tell the story, but also more accurately reflect the support, the budgetary support that's necessary to move this forward. Same thing to do with the program metrics, matching with expected outputs. It's looking at it kind of from a different perspective, moving from budgets to actually what do we hope to accomplish. What are some data points that that we as an organization want to measure, but also what is of interest of the funder. The last thing I would say is citing any and all assumptions and projections. It kind of goes back to that component of this is our plan, this is what we're basing our plan on, and realizing that when you start to work the plan, you may need to be agile and flexible, but there's something in place that is helping move both the project forward, but also the funder understands what to expect down the road. Yes. The last pitfall is really this slide summarizes thinking about who is on your team. Mm-hmm. Do you, and in the sense where this is team building, not necessarily slotting one person for the next, but do you have the right advocates on board? Do perhaps you are a healthcare organization and you're realizing, oh my gosh, we need to venture out, beyond healthcare, and we need to, we're wanting more of the business industry or the business perspective, and starting to reach out to those kind of pockets of community. Do you have the right expertise or experience? Do you have a diverse board in the sense of experience and who their networks are? What's the capacity or the capability of the leadership? Is that something that you want to grow or perhaps deepen? Those are all important plans and projections to share with funders. And I'd say those you share with funders who are already on that journey with you, so that they understand where you want to grow and cultivate your organization. The third one, rejection by other funders. Funders do talk, just like nonprofit professionals talk, right? We all have kind of our angst and pains of working with a particular funder because they ask, for an 8-page application and then a 20-page evaluation. Well, so that said, just ensuring that you are, you have the best foot forward for your organization. And lastly, common pitfall is being too scared to voice your organization. That's why we're here, right? We all are serving vulnerable communities or populations or particular causes that don't have that that voice, that ability, and we're really trying. We should really step up to the mic, because that's what we signed up for. We signed up because we believe in that change, and that comes out both in how we interact with people, as well as how that's communicated in our work and our applications and reporting.
Erica, when I jump in, it's now almost 1:15, and so I want to make sure that nobody's late for the next.
Yes, sorry.
appointment.
So lastly, this is it. Thank you. So you tell your story best, and again, dependent on doing that due diligence, dependent on and asking, whether it be the program officer or the board member, if you're able to get in communication with them, what type of communications do they like? How regularly do they like them? Do they like large events and like to be seen and go to those? Do they like more intimate coffee sessions? And really looking at the social capital that you have and leveraging your network, and perhaps even identifying where you need to incorporate more team members for your organization. So, and then of course the last one, Foundation Center, which we all know, the Texas Grant Resource Center is a huge gem for helping connect us and deepen relationships with funders. So thank you for sharing with me that. And I apologize for going overboard. And if there's something I did not speak into or a topic or something, I'd be happy to speak with you offline.
Well, thank you, everybody. I just want to let you know that next month we'll